very warm welcome to Weigh-In. Yes, you heard it right. We're back in our new slot, Mondays at 8 p.m. Joined by my co-host, Michael Guerin. And Michael, great to have your company, and it's good to be back, isn't it?
It is nice to be back, Emily. Big hi to you, big hi to everybody watching at home on a Monday night. I know some of the horsey types are often in bed by 7:30. Our first guest we'll talk to very shortly often is, but it's great to be joining you after a pretty hectic weekend. But before we go into that, let's talk about how we got here. Of course, since we last saw you for Weigh-In, which I think was about March 20th or something, pre-COVID, Rita has become TAB New Zealand, and that means they've got a different mandate these days. Their mandate is to drive turnover, and predominantly they have sourced back to the codes the responsibility of magazine shows and publicity for the industry, because they're trying to get as much money in as they can to distribute that money back to the codes. That means the codes or people inside them have had to fund shows like this. I didn't have the clout to pull this show together. David Ellis from Te Akau did. He went out to the people you see on screen, all of them, and said, do you want to see the thoroughbred racing industry stories told in this country? They said, yes, we want that, we're going to support that. Those people are supporting the show, and that's how we ended up here, I think, each and every one of them, because it's been a really tricky road. I also think the TAB, some people here said, look, you can use our platforms and you can use some of our staff, and we're working on this together. Love racing. It's been so collaborative. So many people have worked together. We're back, and what a weekend to come back it was.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Just so much depth in the racing we're going to analyse through the show this evening. You've got Everest Caulfield Cup and, of course, domestically the Livermore Classic. Let's talk about that first as we take in the closing stages of Melody Bell's emphatic win.
She looks to improve by the 600 metres. Dolcetto behind that as they run down the side. Vetivar in front of it. Sultan of Swing, Shadows Cast, and beyond the fort. The field for the Livermore run up towards the home corner here. And it is Ocean Billy. Avantage after it. Prix de Fur over on the outside. Wider out then Tiptronic. Now she's brought right to the outside. Melody Bell. And she is starting to charge right to the middle of the course. And she's got to the lead, Melody Bell. Avantage, Prix de Fur fighting on. Oh, but here comes a dozen. Here comes the Queen of the Bay. Here comes the Queen of New Zealand racing. Melody Bell, way too good. Avantage, Vetivar will run to elicit.
Michael, she's just simply too good. What she does to the rest of the Group 1 field, she destroys them. A 12th Group 1, and to be honest, to have her back on home shores, I just feel so lucky that everybody involved in her can go to the races, can see her, can appreciate her, and that's what's so important about racing. Yeah,
and it adds some glamour to our Wait for Age racing, because she's a proper Group 1 horse. Let's not forget, last year in the McKinnon, she ran second to Magic Wand, a true international horse. She's just better than our horses, or those bunch of horses, because of course Probable's one of ours, but she's not here at the moment. Over 2,000 Wait for Age. If she stays in New Zealand and stays in that form, no reason to think she wouldn't win the Zabeel, the Herbie Dyke and the Bone Crusher. Shortly we're going to find out if she is going to stay. I thought lots of really good runs behind her. Avantage has just been unlucky enough to run into the stablemate a couple of times and reform. And Vetivar, really good for Lauren Brennan.
Yeah, an interesting one.
Yeah, really interesting horse. Spoke to Lauren today and she said, look, we were sort of thinking New Zealand Cup, but now we think with 94 rating points, he's probably a Wait for Age horse. So he might go to Ellerslie tomorrow a week. I tried 2 weeks tomorrow, Melbourne Cup Day. And he has options to maybe stick around for a Zabeel too. But a lot of that's going to depend, and I think, Emily, a lot of those horses, where they head next, is going to depend on where the Te Akau horses are heading, because they've been so dominant, and we're about to find out where that is.
Yeah, we are. But before we get there, we're going to take in the beaten jockeys, including winning jockey Troy Harris.
Yeah, it's just a privilege to be on a horse to her calibre. She's just a machine. Like, everything didn't go to plan. She's a bit slow at the gates, but ended up getting a nice enough run and got down to the better part of the track, and she's just a machine. I couldn't pull her up. I nearly had to go around again. I'm a bit buggered now, actually.
She went super. We've just come up against a very good horse that I wish stayed in Australia.
Yeah, great run. Probably settled just behind midfield on the fence, and from the 1,000 onwards, the runners in front of me sort of just kept peeling off, and I got a nice sort of run up the fence. got a touch held up at the very top of the straight, but he's burst through with a strong run at the finish, and he's gone great.
Really happy with his run. He was just there half a stride slow at the gates. We've got back. We've tried to, tack onto Melody Bell, but unfortunately, she was too good for us. But he's run home really well for a placing.
Good run, just needs a bit of track.
He had his chance and just laboured the last 100 metres. Probably the 2,000 metres might be just a little bit sharp for him.
Top run from that horse in that race. Super effort.
Come up to sort of challenge on the corner. She stuck to her task really well. She's a chance of winning a nice race somewhere.
Yeah, look, actually the run was okay. He probably come to the end of his run a bit, pulled a bit hard with no tempo in the race, so tried to put him in it, and he gave it a little bit of a show at the top of the straight, but he'll improve for next time.
Yeah, he went a good race. I sort of got further back than I would have liked, but I sort of rode him for luck, and he's gotten to the line nice.
Got a nice run in transit, got off, picked up good for me for a little bit, then was just okay to the line.
Probably just the winner at the wrong end of the race, unfortunately, today. She had to do a little bit of work to cross, and so it was the reluctant leader. She never really fired today, so maybe a softer option for her next time.
Great to get the jockeys' thoughts there on that Group 1 Livermore Classic. Michael was teasing it, and as you might have guessed, we've got Jamie Richards on the phone to talk about his queen of racing in Melody Bell. And Jamie, a very good evening to you. Hopefully we're not keeping you awake.
Evening, Emily and Michael and the team there. Yeah, not far out of the cop, but all good.
I suppose the most important question is, how have the girls pulled up, and of course Prix de Fer as well?
Yeah, pulled up in good shape. Pleased with how all of them trotted up Sunday morning. Left a bit of feed as to be expected, but all did well on the feed bin last night, Sunday night, and seemed bright and happy this morning.
All right, Jamie, let's start with the Queen of the Turf. What next for Melody Bell?
Melody Bell will go back to Australia, and she'll go to Melbourne, and she'll run in the McKinnon in 3 weeks' time, a race that she was pretty unlucky in last year. Ran into a globe-trotting superstar in Magic Wand, and we think there's a little bit of unfinished business there.
Okay, Jamie, heading back to the 2,000 metres on November the 14th, well, on November the 7th, was there any thought to maybe heading a week earlier to the Empire Rose, the race she won last year?
Just with the way that COVID's sort of affected the calendar and sort of compressed the carnival at Hastings, it just didn't give us enough time to give her a freshen. I think we had 4 weeks last year between the last leg and the Empire Rose. This year there's only 2. And it just wasn't enough time to get it back in trip. So I'm just going to concentrate on the one race, hit and run mission. And, we certainly think that she'll be very competitive. And in our opinion, probably 2,000 metres is now her pet distance.
For the other trainers watching this, Jamie, and for those who get involved in the futures bets heading forward, can she contest a McKinnon and then still return for races like the Captain Cook, the Zabeel, or are we more likely to see her at the back end of the season or back end of the summer in, say, a Herbie Dyke?
Yeah, I'd be leaning towards something like a Herbie Dyke a little bit later on. She's going to need a little bit of a break at some stage. So we'll get to Melbourne, run on the 7th, hopefully get her back the following week, a couple of weeks or 3 weeks in the paddock. And then sort of make a bit of a plan from there. But look, she's got to do well in the next 10 days, otherwise we won't be going. But there's absolutely no reason why she won't, and we're certainly looking forward to seeing how it all plays out.
Poor old Avantage keeps meeting one just that little bit better, with Melody Bell obviously electing to go across the Tasman. What does that mean you're going to be doing with Avantage?
Avantage is going to have a little freshen up for a couple of weeks, and we'll give her a trial or an exhibition gallop before the railway, and she'll run the railway fresh up, and then she'll go back to the Telegraph, and she'll follow a very similar sort of campaign to what she did last autumn. Sort of go to the Telegraph, and then she'll come back to Te Rapa for the weight for age 1400, Otaki Matamata Breeders' Stakes Day for the weight for age mile, and then she'll run in the Bone Crusher at Ellerslie. And
just while we're at it, we'd better ask you about Prix de Fer as well. What are the plans with him?
Prix de Fer will have a week of 10 days in the paddock, and then he'll go to Trentham for the Captain Cook. He didn't get all favours the other day. He sort of, went forward and over-raced a touch, never got any cover. And I think if he had drawn a bit of barrier and got a softer run, he would have been stronger in the finish. So we'll get him back to a mile. Bit of a freshen up should suit him, and then we'll either look at the Zabel Classic, or we might even just give him a little bit of time between runs and concentrate on the Thornton. But there's plenty of nice options coming up for him as well.
Jamie Probabeel, I believe, heads to the Valley tomorrow morning for a spin around before the Cox Plate coming up this Saturday. If she draws well, can she win a Cox Plate?
Yeah, we're really happy with how she's going. It's the biggest weight for age race in Australasia, and it's a privilege to be preparing such a quality mare who's bringing, in our opinion, the right form lines into the race. So we've been really pleased with this. She worked nicely at Randwick in the Melbourne direction on Friday morning, and seems to have arrived in Melbourne in good shape, and we should have a little spin around there tomorrow, and she goes into the race with a really good chance. As you say, drawing a nice soft gate would be a big help.
It's such an exciting time for you, Jamie, and we must also talk about a sneaky little stakes winner on Sunday as well, Cornflower Blue. She looked right back to her best with that lovely win on Sunday, and she must be right on target for the Guineas, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a lovely filly. Just got undone by a very firm track at Riccarton, and she's just a filly that needs to get her toe into the track a little bit, and nice barrier back around the corner. There was a few things there to suggest that hopefully we could get her campaign back on track, and thankfully we were able to. I think Dad and the team in the South Island have done a wonderful job with her to get her back and get her going, and full credit to them. Nice ride by Danielle, and I think the form lines out of that race will stack up. Like Embers has got good form around her up here, Watchmaker and Matchmaker, that they're both seem to be genuine horses, so I think that form will stack up, and we look forward to the 1,000 Guineas with her.
Jamie, on the 2,000 Guineas, need I say more? Is he heading to the Sarton this week, and is he at this stage definite to head to Riccarton?
Yeah, he goes to the Sarton on Saturday and gallops here in the morning. We're just going to concentrate on Saturday before we get too far ahead of ourselves. He was really big in the Hawke's Bay Guineas with a sort of interrupted run. Sort of got caught 3 and 4 deep the trip and loomed and just came to the end of it the last bit. But we have been happy with him, and we'll concentrate on Saturday and then sort of work it out from there.
Jamie, thanks so much for your time this evening. We'll let you get to bed, and it's great to get your update. And wow, exciting stuff with Melody Bell heading back across the Tasman. Best of luck with that, and of course the 100th running of the Cox Plate.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? Great update for New Zealand to have Probabeel in a Cox Plate and her heading back for the McKinnon, which is a massive
surprise.
money.
I'm surprised they made that call, but it's great, fabulous, and she absolutely should be there. But
she might catch some tired horses by the end of the carnival, and I can understand they couldn't freshen her up in time because there's a smaller gap this year, 2 weeks smaller to get to the Empire Rose, which would have seemed an ideal race for her. But it gives us a bit more clout at the carnival because we don't have a lot of clout at the carnival. I'm just talking about Cauliflower Blue, who we saw there.
Cauliflower?
Cornflower Blue. Vegetable Blue. Talking about that, Bonham was really good the other day also, and it's another horse who'll be heading to the 1,000 Guineas, and we've had an update on that 1,000 Guineas market as well too. So there's a few different things in play here because she was really good winning this, the 3-year-old race, and this is going to be a good form race. And I still get the feeling there's lots of cards to be played in this 3-year-old season. Yeah,
it's really exciting, isn't it? These fillies and colts and geldings obviously just beginning to show their faces. But this, of course, bred by Little Avondale Stud, by Per Encanto, and just all these horses keep popping up, and it's going to make for a really competitive 1,000 Guineas.
Well, here's the market for the 1,000 Guineas, and the news is just coming out tonight that the horse at the top of the market, who looked like it had been shot out of a gun last start. If you've ever seen a 3-year-old filly finish a race like that, Tinker McPhee, this is going to be her last race in New Zealand, the 1,000 Guineas. She heads to the Sarton against the boys predominantly on Saturday, and then she's been partially sold to clients of who else? Chris Waller. So Tinker McPhee, 2 more starts here for the Alexanders, then heads to Chris Waller. Bonham, as you can see, is at $6. Cornflower, who has nothing to do with Cauliflower Blue, is at $8. And after that, there's a bunch of horses who we thought might have been Guineas horses and we're not quite sure about. And I think it's the same for the 3-year-olds, because Aegon, who could have potentially gone this week to the Sarton, they're going to bypass, so he's not heading there at all. So spoke to Andrew Forsman, they're going to miss the Sarton. They've lost their rider from the Hawke's Bay Guineas because Leith is committed to not an option, so that ride's still very much open in the air. I think both those markets might change a lot about after what we see out of Te Rapa on Saturday.
Yeah, it's really all starting to take shape. And of course, when we get up to the mile, things change again with the further distance for the 3-year-olds. Let's continue on. And of course, we had another stakes race on the card from Hawke's Bay, and it was the Red Badge Sprint taken out by Hypnos.
Looking to pick a path as they jam up, and London Express last, but only 7 off them as they run the corner here. And now Rowdy Cat tries to slip away, a length and a half from Vigor Winner. She's All Mine. Hypnos over on the outside is coming after them. Springtide runs on the inside. Rock Onward looking to get clear here, and Motivation over on the outside. Here Hypnos and Vigor Winner. Rock Onward starting to flash at them here. Hypnos on the inside, Vigor Winner. Rock Onward starting to try and draw them in. They hit it. I think he just missed. I think Hypnos, Rock Onward, Vigor Winner, Motivation, London Express roared home, and then go Nicholas behind them.
It was a really good and strong win for this horse, Hypnos. So obviously coming from the James Wellwood stable, Danielle Johnson getting another win on the programme. There's a couple of talking points here, Michael, especially when it comes to a Copeland's Mile perspective. Rock on Wood. It's going to be one day, but I don't know if I'll be there to catch him.
Well, it's always hard to back those horses who do tend to settle, at least in the second half of the field. But even though he was a touch unlucky, Hypnos was outstanding.
Absolutely.
They were not at all confident, Emily, that he would handle a wet track. In fact, I don't think he handled it all that well. He just looped them. He looked a fit horse. I thought he was really good. And he's been backed to win the Copeland's Mile. He was $31 2 weeks ago. He's into $7 equal favouritism now. By no means is he over the line, but Roger and Robert have set him for this race. In fact, now he's $6, and they're going to try and fly him down. Now, one of the crucial things for the northern horses heading to Riccarton is the flights have resumed, because it's so hard to travel these horses down and travel them back. When you look at that field and you look at that performance, there's not many horses there I think he would be scared of. Yep. I'm not saying they can't beat him. Germanicus is obviously a horse who's coming out of Group 1s, but most of those horses haven't been or haven't done anything as impressive as that so far this season. Interesting thing will be what weight he gets in the Copelands, because he was on quite a low rating. I think he was an 84 before that race. So obviously sometimes in the South Island races you actually meet horses who have quite high ratings because they've got really big records down there. I still think he'll get it on a good weight. And yeah, they're pretty darn keen to get him down there.
Yeah, I bet they are a horse to follow, that's for sure. Hypnos out of the Red Badge Sprint at Hawke's Bay. There was an issue on the programme at Hastings on Saturday around weights. It was in the third race on the card, Michael, and I'll let you explain it, but they were in the book at 58 kilos, and then prior to the race, they were going to carry 59. A protest ensued, and they ended up carrying 58. That's the bare bones of it. What's the backstory?
Somebody obviously has put them in as 58s because it's a special conditions race, and therefore they were supposed to be the top 2 in the book on 59. And Tony Pike, who doesn't lose a lot of arguments in the JCA room, went in and said, well, if we were booked at 58, we came down at 58, and people backed at 58, we can't just make them carry 59. Now, it's a mistake, and everybody makes mistakes. This is made by somebody at a clerical error or a handicapping error. It doesn't really matter that much. The bottom line is, once you start letting punters bet at 58 kilos on a horse and let them bet up to quarter of an hour before the race, you can't change it.
Yeah.
That's just a massive integrity issue, because you're changing the goalpost for those punters. They will cop you changing a track, and they will cop you changing a whole range of things. For example, moving a rail winner out. They'll even cop a horse coming in 6 barrier places because of scratchings, because they're uncontrollable things. But they will not cop you changing the weight of a horse from its book weight for no reason. So the right decision was made. I'm glad it was made the way it was, because otherwise you just say to all fixed odds punters, we don't care what happens, we'll just do what we want. When mistakes are made, you need to be accountable for your mistakes. People were. Right decision was made, we move on.
Yep, exactly. We move on, and we move on to, well, you wouldn't believe it, but we had a Great Northern Steeplechase and Hurdle on the same day as the Livermore Classic, and it was quite an exciting race. Let's take a look at Magic Wonder and Sean Fannin.
One to go for Magic Wonder and Sean Fannin. And Magic Wonder in front here leads by 8 lengths. Moving to second now, Napoleon from Des de Jour and then Shamal. One to go. All eyes on Magic Wonder. She jumped it beautifully. She's out by 10 lengths. In second spot next is Napoleon, followed by Des de Jour and then Shamal looking to rally again. But it's Magic Wonder and Sean Fannin in an incident pack. Great Northern Steeplechase. Joe Rathbone, the trainer. She won this race as a jockey. Now she trains the winner of the great race, the Great Northern, and Magic Wonder and Sean Fannin win it. Second over will be Napoleon. Shamal got up to run third.
Well, it's been a crazy month. You lost 2 teeth, 2 more to be lost, Sean. You maybe could have missed this race. Then you've led. You've had to skip past a golfer inside the track, and you've won the Great Northern.
Yeah, for sure. It's stuff movies are made of probably, and just wrapped to be on the mare. She was so impressive 2 weeks ago at the Pakuranga meeting, and when Joe said that she'd keen for me to ride her, I'd do anything to ride such a horse that had such a great chance, and teeth or no teeth, I was just happy to be here.
Let's talk about the mare. She just measured those fences beautifully.
Yeah, for sure. She's 3rd season chaser this year. Probably, the experience is there, and when a mare hits form, they seem to hold it for that preparation. And, this year's like no other with the COVID and having the Northern a month later. The tracks are so much firmer, and she showed that she's taken a real liking to this. And that Pakuranga form has been tried and true over the years, that it's for the Northern, that's the best form guide. And, I wouldn't want to be on any other horse today, and she showed that.
Sean, at one stage a golfer was standing in front of you on the inside of the track. What did you think when you saw that?
I just couldn't believe it, really. He was not there for the racing, that's for sure. He was fixated on the ball because we were all yelling out to him, get out of the way, get out of the way. And then, he pointed towards the ball and went that way, and then he looked up at the last second and went back the other way. Couldn't believe it.
All right, it's been a tough month. You lost 2 front teeth. You've got 2 more that are fractured that need to be repaired. Can you give the weigh-in viewers a little preview of how you look at the moment, Shorty? I shouldn't laugh, Shorty, but you're going to get 4 new ones drilled into the head?
Yep, no, I get 4 new ones, and hopefully good as new.
Mate, I'm sure you're feeling no pain today, and you probably won't feel any pain tonight.
No, surely. Biggest race day of the year for us boys, and just going to go and celebrate it.
Wow, there is so much to talk about after that race. First of all, the teeth on TV, Sean, thumbs up to you. That was epic. Secondly, the golfer, that's unbelievable. Thirdly, More Wonder needs a medal as well. What a beautiful win that was. It's just so much
Let's
to
talk about her
about.
first, because she deserves it, because she won a Great Northern. And well done to Joe Rathbone. She said, I actually can't school her over anything but the live fences, because she's so nutty when she approaches the fences. She just launches herself. She can't measure a hurdle. So she said she'll never go to Aussie. She said she'll always race here. She was really thrilled to win a Great Northern. Obviously, she won one as a rider. She said, look, I've got some spots in the stable. I haven't got a lot of horses around me, so if you've got a horse who needs some TLC, Joe could be a person for that. Obviously, the horse goes to the paddock now.
Yeah. And
she's exciting to think that, potentially we could see her maybe at Riccarton next year, when she could really wind up. Let's get to the golfer. I feel for the poor guy, because clearly he's hit the ball over the fence. Now, there's a pitch and putt next to the steeplechase track, which only comes into play about 8 races a year. He's hit a ball over there. He clearly hasn't gone out there to try and bully a horse, so he's just been dumb. As George said, he was an absolute dickhead. So he's walked out there, and then he's panicked and he hasn't known what to do. And people may say, well, why is there a golf course inside the race course? Well, it's to make more money, and that more money comes back into the industry and therefore increases revenue streams to go back into stakes. And it's not really an issue, apart from when there's a steeplechase race on, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Paul Wilcox from the Auckland Racing Club has rung us today, and he said, look, it won't happen again, because in future, with the very few steeplechase races we hold, because obviously that's not the course proper, we will make sure with our friends from the golf course that nobody is playing golf on the pitch and putt at that stage. So on a normal race day, it's not a factor. It's a clear mistake. It looked a lot worse than it was from the point of view that there was no intent there. But yeah, it wasn't great, and the Auckland Racing Club have moved very quickly to solve that. And as for Sean Fanning, a month ago he lost 2 front teeth and the other 2 are fractured in. And he had to go to the specialist to get that plate put in. And he hadn't ridden a horse jumping until he rode Arjun on Wednesday beforehand. And they're brave lads and lasses. Obviously, Lee Farr got a broken collarbone the other day too. But they're brave lads and lasses. We know that. We know all jockeys are. But it's a remarkable story to think all of those things happened in about 8 minutes.
I know. In the same race. It was very exciting watching.
Just have to mention too, old Perry Mason had to be humanely destroyed out of that race. I spoke to Paul Nelson today, who won the hurdle, and he said, look, he actually broke it. It wasn't anything to do with the incident with the golfer. There was nothing at all, even though it was quite close to that incident. He said the horse actually broke his shoulder before the jump.
Oh, gosh.
And he said Sean Phelan, who was riding the horse, could hear it. Now, I checked with Sean that absolutely, even though it was 100 metres after the golfing incident, 2 separate things. Poor old Perry Mason, nothing anybody could do. That's just one of those things that happens in life. But yeah, obviously a very sad time for their connections. A couple of other falls in the race. Matt Crop went down and Isaac Lupton, they were fine after the race, couple of cuts and bruises, and obviously Emily Farr went to hospital when we believe she has a broken collarbone.
Yep, that's what I read online. So thinking of you, Emily, and obviously the connections of Perry Mason as well. Let's move along because there was more success on the card and it came in the form of the Cossack. Aaron Kuru was the rider in this one.
Arshin steadily making ground as they turn for home in the Great Northern Hurdle. It's Macklemore in front, coming towards the second to last. Out wide the Cossack. Arshin starting to chime in as well, out deeper. In behind these Lake Superior, down to the 200. Arshin out wide, ranged up with the Cossack at the last. Oh, Arshin almost dislodged the rider, but it stands, and it's now the Cossack in front. The Cossack, Arshin lifting again from Lake Superior and Macklemore. The Cossack, Lake Superior on the inside. The Cossack and Aaron Kuru get the Great Northern Hurdles.
Well, mate, the horse was game, but you've had to be brave too. 2 weeks ago, you're on your back.
Yeah, look, bad luck. Had a fall, but it actually wasn't the fall. I just got collected by another horse. You know, a lot of people felt sorry for me, but it's, you know, I signed myself up for this, so that's just a part of the game. And looking at the replays, it was a nice run from the Cossack, and I just couldn't count myself out. It would have hurt me more if I was to see the horse win with someone else. So full credit to my partner. She was the one that nursed me along these last 2 weeks, and yeah, she's the one that got me right for today.
You broke a transverse in your back. That's not a lot of fun.
No, yeah, my L2 and 3 look really painful at the time. I probably couldn't get up for the next 2 days. I couldn't stand, and so it was pretty worrying. But once I was up, I was actually up and about, and within 3 or 4 days, like the improvement was pretty impressive. And so I thought, you know, if that's happened there, then 2 weeks would be a dream.
I think your rival jockeys knew what it meant to you, but what it means to all you guys to win a Great Northern Hurdles or Steeples. A lot of fist pumping afterwards. I think a lot of people just happy these races actually happened, Aaron.
Yeah, it's not very fun this year with COVID. Like, it's pretty stressful on all the jumps trainers and jockeys. We don't normally ride on firmer tracks like this, but on the plus side, a lot of Paul Nelson's horses are firm trackers. So, look, the track suited him today, and yeah, it was tough. It was tough today.
And understandably elated Aaron Kuru, obviously, after battling back from injury and then taking out the hurdle, the feature hurdle on the programme. No doubt very rewarding, and once again highlights the fabulous job these jockeys do and what they put themselves through week in, week out to ride these jumpers.
Breaking a transverse in your back is no fun. That's the part that the nerves run out of your spine into your other muscles. It's seriously icky stuff. I did it playing rugby once, but I wasn't riding horses 2 weeks later because I'm not crazy like Aaron Kuru is. Arjun probably had the race won till the last hurdle. We seemed to hit it pretty hard. He didn't measure it very well of it all. But I spoke to Paul Nelson about this horse, and he said, look, he's only going to keep getting better. Remarkably, he's out of a Galileo mare, which there wouldn't be a lot floating around New Zealand, and she was useless. Absolutely useless. She used to run last in maiden races, and jumped a generation, and as Paul said, it's kicked in with this horse. So they expect him, he hasn't been a horse who's held his condition all that well.
Okay.
They expect him to be a better horse next season too. So there's one more major jump stay to go for the year. It's Wanganui, unbelievably, on the 1st of November.
Wow, yeah.
And Paul was quite worried today about how many jockeys would be available because some are injured and some have been suspended. So yeah, if you're a jumps jockey, stick around until November the 1st at Wanganui. There's 4 races to go there and two high weights that day. So congratulations to everybody involved in New Zealand jumps racing in, because we didn't get the Grand National Carnival, but considering what COVID's done to our racing season and how hard it is to get jumpers up to race, I think everybody's done a pretty remarkable job to have that special day on Saturday. Yeah,
you're exactly right. Well, that wraps up our domestic action here in New Zealand. We're going to take a quick break and then we'll crack straight into the stuff from across the Tasman, and it's pretty good, mark my words.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Welcome back with us on Weigh In. I promised a little look at the action from across the Tasman, and it doesn't disappoint. You've got the Caulfield Cup and, of course, the Everest as well. Let's start with the Caulfield Cup. Very Elegant. She was so dominant in her win, and it was a real coup for the Kiwis.
Very Elegant moving now into the race, only 3 off the lead, and back behind them Dalasan. Anthony Van Dyke will be one of the widest around the corner. Master of Wine joined by Buckhurst. Finch deeper with Chapada. True Self cuts the corner. The Chosen One presents as a chance. Very Elegant down the outside. It's True Self, Master of Wine at the 300 with the Chosen One. And here's Very Elegant and Anthony Van Dyke below the 200. The Chosen One grabbed by Very Elegant and Anthony Van Dyke. Very Elegant and Anthony Van Dyke. It's all class. Very Elegant a neck in front, and the mare won it. Very Elegant beat Anthony Van Dyke, the Chosen One. 4th, Prince of Arran. Then came Finch and Avilius. Behind them, Buckhurst, Master of Wine.
There's so many levels to this story around Very Elegant. She's the 2nd highest weight for a winning mare in the race. She was so tough. She's beaten a beautifully bred horse from the Southern Hemisphere in Anthony Van Dyke. The Chosen One's finished 3rd. That's another storyline. Can she complete the double? 11 have completed it. The Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup double, last one obviously ethereal. Could she be the next great mare to do it?
Well, I suppose there's no reason to think she couldn't. She's by no means the favourite for the Melbourne Cup. She copped half a kilo today from the handicapper Greg Carpenter, but 55.5, it's a lot of weight, but it's not totally impossible. There's nothing to say she's not as good as Russian Camelot or Surprise Baby. Tiger Moth, we don't know. But if he's the best of the Northern Hemisphere horses, he must be pretty darn good, because Anthony Van Dyke was very good.
He was. And didn't have all favours. He came from a
barrier of 17.
But neither did Very Elegant. So you can't really take...
He carried 58.5 kilos. Yeah. It's a lot of weight, but it's a lot of weight to carry in a Melbourne Cup too.
Prince of Arran's just ticking along nicely for another assault at the Melbourne Cup as well, isn't he?
I think it's a really open Melbourne Cup, because there's a lot of horses here we don't know that much about. The Chosen One was excellent. Andrew Murray now had the luxury of heading straight there with him to the Melbourne Cup, and Daniel Stackhouse will retain the ride there. He's on 53.5 kilos. I'm not sure he can win a Melbourne Cup, but man, he's a good horse.
Sight. Yeah.
He's won $1.3 million and probably 800 or 900 or maybe even $1 million of that's in Australia.
He's a great fun horse to own as well, because he takes you to all the big dances, and you know, to be in the Melbourne Cup and you get a nice draw, well, you're a very good chance of running a place at the very least. You know?
And top 10 gets you 100,000 or something like that. But back to the winner, remarkable story. As we know, she raced here a couple of times with Nick Bashara, and he stayed in, and so did Jamara Bloodstock. They bought into the horse and then joined Darren Weir, and then ended up at Wallers. And Chris has done a super job with her, because she wasn't easy. She used to race with her head up all the time. And
very awkward going.
She must be a brave horse. No reason to think she can't win a Melbourne Cup. No reason to think she can't, but also win those big weight for age races, because the horse she ran 2nd in the Queen Elizabeth last year won the Champion Stakes at Ascot.
In Europe,
So she's got some proper international form. I still think the Z story is just about the most remarkable breeding story of the last 20 years. And I know we have a lot of them in this country, but I think we might actually do a weigh-in special at some stage. We might chuck you on a plane or in a car and get you to go do a Z story, because it's, you know a bit about it. We can't go into it now because there's so much on, but it's a remarkable story. For most of the horses you saw, they're there. Next stop, the Melbourne Cup, but of course Russian Camelot in that market heads to the Cox Plate on Saturday.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking points out of the Caulfield Cup, and well done to everybody involved in Very Elegant. There was also a $15 million Everest that took place on Saturday, and that didn't disappoint either. Classique Legend was the winner of that one, Les Bridge, combining with, once again, Kerrin McEvoy.
Classique Legend looking for a bit of cover now. Libertini the outside. Guitra being roused along from Bivouac. Santarena Lane and Tafane. Eduardo at the 300 metres, a length clear. Nature's Drift's been in his slipstream, giving chase. 2 after Aubrey on her. Classique Legend 4 off. The grey flash is starting to cut loose. Here he comes. Classique Legend storms to the front and kicked away. The grey flash is now an Everest legend. Bivouac home to second. Photo for third. Trekking and Guitra, then Santa.
Well, if you listen to Les Bridge pretty much for the past 2 months, he would have told you very clearly that he was going to win the Everest, and I tell you what, he hit the nail on the head, because he didn't just win, he dominated the race. And I wonder what Kerrin McEvoy's going to do with all that money. That's his 3rd one. It's getting greedy.
I worked it out yesterday when I was bored. I think there's only about 12 or 15 jockeys in New Zealand riding at the moment who have won as much money in their entire careers as Kerrin McEvoy's won in the Everest.
Wow.
They've only run the race 4 times. And he's won as much stake money 4 times, because he's ridden 3 winners.
Yeah.
And of course he didn't ride the winner last year with Yes, Yes, Yes. He's won more money than about every other jockey in New Zealand in their entire career in one race.
Yeah.
That's how big the money is, and it's ludicrous money, but obviously he's a great jockey.
It's a fabulous race, though.
He's a proper horse, isn't he?
He is. He's going to be a sprinting force to be reckoned with. And I just love the way the media get behind it. There's so much excitement. It's a life-changing amount of money. I was pretty disappointed to hear that the horse is in quarantine already.
At Werribee, he's going to head to Hong Kong.
It must have been a real blow for the connections. You're on a high, you've just won an Everest, you know, and you've got this wonderful horse who you're involved with, and that's it. It's game over, and you're basically classed as not being able to take the horse worldwide.
I think they can always come back for the Everest next year. But, you know, as we know, most of the Hong Kong owners, that's where the prestige is for them, is going to Hong Kong. There's no reason he can't go to Hong Kong and then head to Ascot next year, if the world's open to that. I looked at it this way when I heard a bit of criticism about it today on social media. If I lived in Australia and I had the best sprinter in England, I would want it to come to Australia.
Yeah, true.
And I can understand that if I'm living in Hong Kong,
right,
and people, if I tell people in Hong Kong that my horse just won the Everest, they'll be going, well, I don't care. Whereas you win the international sprint in Hong Kong, it's an entirely different thing. So I can entirely see what they've done. He's a wonderful horse. I'm not sure behind them how great a crop of sprinters this is, because obviously we keep retiring these young sprinting horses. Nature Strip, I'm completely lost. I've got no idea what goes on in his head anymore. But they did go very, very hard there for the first half of the race. But yeah, fascinating footage of Les Bridge watching the race entirely by himself.
Yeah.
In the theatre of the horse. Here he is. That guy at the bottom of your screen is Les Bridge, who trains Classique Legend. That's the Everest being run, and Les is clearly not a, shall we say, man of the people during race time.
A lot of trainers do that, though, don't they? Take themselves off to a quiet place. I know Chris Waller's a bit like that. He goes to the trainer's room and sort of has that quiet moment to himself where just take it all in, and I guess you're just watching your horse. If we'd have listened to him, we would have been backed and be celebrating.
You spend a lot of time in Australian racing, and you spend it in Melbourne and Sydney. Is the Everest a race that resonates with you in your bones like a Melbourne Cup? Well, for me, the Cox Plate's the race I love the most, and some people it's a slipper. Has the Everest bit for you yet, or is it still getting there because we don't have any New Zealand horses in it?
No, it's definitely bitten for me. You know, it's just a fabulous concept. Everybody gets behind it. There's so much momentum and it's so exciting. You don't know what the final field's going to look like. You've got slot holders vying for the best sprinter. Have they made the right decision? And are they regretting the decision they made if they went early, or you've got someone else who waits till the last minute? Just think it's a wonderful concept, and it's the money, the life-changing amount of money for ordinary people. You know, like Behemoth was in the race, cost $6,000, and there he is, a chance to win
6 million.
6 million, yeah. And that's life-changing.
Not that I don't like the race, it's amazing. I wish we had one. Wish we had 1/10 of one. But I don't know, it hasn't bitten for me yet because I haven't loved a horse who's been in the race yet. I could fall in love with Classic Legend pretty easily, but we'll be seeing him out of Hong Kong. Other big event on the day was the Kosciuszko, which is a race which actually does resonate with me really well, for 1.3 million. This is a success story and a non-success story because, first of all, it's Me, who's the horse in the middle of the pack in the black and yellow colours. What a great win. And Jason Collett for a $1.3 million race. That's no small deal. This is it stomping down the outside. Sadly, the news coming out today, she's broken down.
Yeah, that's such a shame.
Out for the rest of the season at least. So these two wonderful races out of Sydney, this one obviously for a different class of horses, horses who are from the outer areas of New South Wales. These two wonderful horses aren't going to be seen in Sydney again, well, one of them for a year and one of them potentially ever. So that's always a bit of a down note to a big day, but it doesn't ruin the day itself, but it ruins the aftermath because you're not thinking, oh, cool, I can't wait to see him next, because you're not going to see it for a while.
I really hope we can see It's Me back at the track. So much upside to the horse. Best of luck with its recovery. There was a little incident at the barriers during the week, and it was pretty unbelievable footage of, I think, Stephen Barlow, I understand.
Yep, looking at the horse on barrier 12.
Yeah.
Look at this bloke here. This is Stephen Barlow. Now, I met Stephen the other day.
It's like an anchor, just...
I know. And look, he is a solid lad. I'll give you that. He must have played a bit of footy because he's got a bit about him. So I was going to try and interview him, but it was a long story. I couldn't get him on camera. I had a good talk to him on Saturday, and he said, the most important thing to me as a starter's assistant, because eventually he wants to become a starter, is the horse welfare. So he sees the horse squeezing under the barrier. Jenny Craig's the name of the horse. He pops around the front and basically tackles it.
Yeah.
And that's so brave. And look, I know all our starter attendants and so many people around the world who do that job are really brave, but
it was a good catch.
leave me out of that.
Yeah. No, they are most...
I love horses. I don't love them that much.
We might have found Michael's weakness.
Wasn't it just summed up what a starter's assistants do? Because so much of the work they do you don't see. Now, that was obviously pretty graphic, but you don't see most of what they do, which is so important.
I think many people, whether it be track work riders who go to jump outs, jockeys at the trials, the races, they'll tell you that barrier attendants, starters, they're the unsung heroes of our industry. On that note, we're going to get to a break and we'll be back with more after that.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
You're back with us on weigh-in, and it was a pretty busy early start to the week. We had the ready-to-run breeze-ups, and there was a number of horses going around, and Michael caught up with Danny Ralston to find out more about how the early process of the breeze-ups was going.
Well, Danny, 2 days of breeze-ups completed, not without their challenges after the weather here on Tuesday morning, but you must be very satisfied.
Yeah, for sure. We've had 2 great days. We've seen a lot of nice horses, and to have close to 300 horses breezing up here at Te Rapa in a 2-day period and have really little or no hiccups, I think it's a real testament to our team and the vendors and their horses. This is a sale that's produced 20 Group 1 winners over the last 6 years. I thought the standard very high of the stock and very high of the way they've been prepared. Yeah, it's really become a beast that just feeds on itself. I mean, the success really has grown out of the sale, and as people have done well with their sales results, it's allowed them to invest in some really high quality horses, and hence the honour roll that the sale has. Who do you think is going to be looking to buy these horses? Are we seeing a strong Asian market here? Is the Australians going to be strong for this? Do you see a rebound from the domestic market, Danny? Because we do have the unique challenges of the travel restrictions. Yeah, it's despite that, it's been a real global sale, and we've had success recently in Korea, Macau, Singapore, of course. But you know, our traditional markets for the sale are Hong Kong and Australia. And while we've had horses like Te Akau Shark and Golden 60 flying the flag for not only the sale but NZ in general, we're confident that all our markets will be paying very close attention and bidding remotely.
Flicking through the catalogue, a real diversity of stallions. There's something there for everybody, including a lot of speed stallions, so horses who may well run young. This is going to be a book where there's something for anybody who wants a horse.
Yeah, for sure, and that goes across all budget levels as well. But you know, there'll be stayers, there'll be people looking for fillies, sprinters, of course, for sprinter milers for Hong Kong. But we're pretty confident all bases are covered as they generally are.
Because we can't have the overseas travellers coming to the sale, Danny, I think the agents, whether they be inside NZB or the independent agents, have a bigger role to play at the sale.
Yeah, for certain, and we're thankful for the depth of independent agents plus the team we have at New Zealand Bloodstock. You know, I don't think there'd be many countries in the world with the depth of agents with the global success rate that they do have in New Zealand.
A lot of the overseas potential buyers, and even some who can't get to Auckland for the sale, will be looking to use the online platform. You guys have really juiced that up to the point where you can basically buy now with no lag, almost in real time.
Yeah, we'll have real-time audio and video, real-time bidding, the digital content that's been provided by our team but also by the vendors themselves is really exceptional, and we're confident that people will be able to bid and buy horses they want with all the information from the comfort of their own home.
Speaking to you recently, you admitted the challenges that the travel restrictions bring into play. I know after the last 2 days and seeing the horse flesh, you're feeling a little more confident.
Yeah, I think we needed a couple of days like we've had just to see the horses and see all the people and just how active the local agents are being to really give us some buoyancy and confidence of a strong sale. And I've no doubt that particularly that honour roll that the sale has got will really hold us in good stead.
What's next, Danny, for people who like what they see in the breeze ups on NZB? Is it a case they can get to go to some of the farms to see parades, or when do the horses actually get to Karaka for those who want to see them themselves?
The horses will be parading at Karaka 4 to 5 days before they sell, but probably the easiest thing is we do organise a lot of on-farm parades which are very open to the public, so that they will be organised by New Zealand Bloodstock, so give us a call, any of our agents, our office number, would be glad to host you.
Well, Graham, this morning we thought you might struggle to get day 2 of the breeze ups off the ground. You were out of bed at 2:45 this morning, you thought we were no chance, and yet here we are.
I didn't think we were any chance this morning. It did rain. I don't know whether we had 25, 30 mil. But anyway, they've done a good job. The weather's picked up and they've done a real good job to get them to run up today.
Graham, the standard looks very good and there's lots of different stallions represented, which of course gives everybody something different to choose from.
Well, I was having a look at quite a few run up, and when they're running 10.5 on a wet track, what would have they run if they'd have been in yesterday? But anyway, there's some nice horses, and if you're lucky enough to get the right ones, you can get a good horse out of this sale.
There'll be some people overseas, Graham, who are maybe a little bit reluctant to buy a horse they can't get here and see themselves. How have you found that in the past, buying horses, whether they be from the South Island or in other countries or states of Australia, that you haven't had the chance to get to yourself?
We buy a lot of horses, you know. I've never seen them and that, but you trust people, and a lot of them have all got good relationships with different people, and you sell them a good horse and they always come back.
Well, Dean, a day and a half in, the rain's come down. For a guy who's looking for what you look for on horses, does it bother you that one set of horses has galloped on a wetter track than the other?
No, because you're looking at action. The only time it might upset the apple cart if a horse's action changes completely on soft ground, but it hasn't got bad enough to warrant that. You can still see, you know, their knee action and their general shoulder movement and everything else. But I mean, you see all that on video. I mean, I'm here to sort of look at them before, temperament as much as anything, before they go out the back in the stalls. I like to watch them go off as soon as they get out onto the track, and also like to see them start off and also just wander back, how they wander back through the car park. I think Most of your stride analysis and stuff is done on tape, but it's all the other little things that are all part of the puzzle that I like to see here. And I did this for 25 years, you know, so I sort of know what to look for a bit, and I know what they hide.
That raises a really interesting point. Say somebody who can't get into New Zealand and get to Karaka for the sale wants to know a bit more about a horse. Guys like yourself, are you available for people to ring you or get hold of you and say, hey, what did you make of that lot?
Yeah, exactly. And I've already had you know, some phone calls for people wanting a list just sent up, just a general list of physique, conformation, temperament, and they will do the work off the videos and do their own online bidding. So I'm here doing a lot of that, but anyone can ring us at any time, and I'll probably go around one or two of the farms post-sale, pre-sale, and obviously I'll do the normal inspection work at Karaka that we do and do some work with the vets. But yeah, I mean, through the Bloodstock Agents Federation too, we're all available. So we had a meeting this morning about that, and we're going to sort of get out and promote the Federation for the New Zealand agents to let people know that we are available as a group, you know.
Just talking about agency, obviously if somebody employs you months before a sale, that comes with an agent's fee. There's going to be people here who maybe aren't looking for the entire agent experience. Is there some flexibility around the sale because there's going to be new clients coming on board for maybe a one sale gig?
Oh, of course. I mean, you charge people accordingly for your knowledge, you know. Some agents, they'll charge a flat fee, some will charge a percentage if they're doing the buying and the ring bidding and things like that. I mean, there's different shortlisting fees because people cannot be here and they make their own mind up on page, on pedigree and work with their vets. So there's all sorts of things, and new people coming along can just ring any of us really, and we can talk and work out exactly what you want. That's you know, that's the starting point really.
And all those videos are now available online. For more information, nzb.co.nz. We're going to move along to jockey news now, because it's been a moving beast, the jockey ranks at the moment. An update on Sam Spratt, Michael, to start with. She was meant to go in for surgery yesterday. That got put back to Thursday. She's doing well, just frustrated. She's looking at a 6 to 8 week layoff.
Is that broken collarbone, is it?
Collarbone, yeah.
Okay, update on the situation with Rosie Myers. Everybody in racing knows that 2 weeks ago, Rosie was at the trials, fell off a horse who veered after the finish of a race, and another horse collected her in the head. I spoke to her husband, William Fell, today. Rosie's out of the ICU at Wellington Hospital, which is the good news, and she's now in the neurological unit there. She'll head to Hutt Hospital tomorrow to have surgery on the facial fractures on her face, and then she'll head to a rehab facility for people who have had brain injuries. William said things are progressing nicely and slowly, and he really wanted to thank everybody in the racing industry who's tried to get in touch. He can't talk to you all. Our fingers are crossed, our prayers for Rosie at this stage, but yeah, things are looking better. So there's that slightly better news. We can hopefully next week we'll bring you some more better news on her. Other jockeys coming back. Vinnie Colgan has been off the scene for a long time, had a neck injury, and that's been operated on. He's back on Wednesday at Matamata, and at the moment in the senior ranks with a couple of jockeys out of play. That's really important to us. And Chris Johnson's licence has been suspended. I've spoken to Chris. They don't want to talk about it legally. I believe there'll be some movement around that in the next few days. It is in the hands of the lawyers, dispute over whether Chris is able to ride, and that should be, we should know more on the show next Monday.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today on Weigh In. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, same place, Monday, 8 p.m. And get in touch with us. You've got a good story or a good picture of yourself out and about at the races. Get in touch on all of our social platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or our email. And we leave you, Michael, with some pretty sad news that came out of the South Island just before the weekend.
Yeah, we do, Em. Some really sad news, the passing of Neil Ridley, champion jumps jockey, outstanding trainer. To Mrs. Ridley, Marg, and to the family, we feel for you. Our thoughts are with you. The funeral is at 1 o'clock on Friday down there in Christchurch. Neil took over a horse called Prince Oz, who was just battling in the CD. He went on to win 7 races in a very short time, including the Stewards. He is a testament to the training skill of Neil Ridley.
He is the man of the South Island. Prince Oz does it again and beats Sensei. Third is a photo between...